Hey, I'm Al Kavadlo, and we're working out. Thanks for listening to my podcast. My guest this week is Jim Bathurst. Jim Bathurst is the creator of BeastSkills.com and was the model for the original Convict conditioning book. He currently works for Nerd Fitness. If you enjoy this episode, leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or anywhere else you're listening from. And don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's go ahead and get into the interview. You started a website way back, I think, in 2004, right? Called Beast Skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
It was one of the first sites that I was aware of that had information about advanced calisthenics moves. And I just wanted to know what spurned that. How did you get the idea in the first place to do that?
So it started off that I was part of a gymnastics troupe in college at University of Maryland, and we would train gymnastics, traditional stuff like parallel bars and rings, and then non-traditional stuff like doing handstands on chairs and flipping through fire and all this crazy stuff. And as I was building up the strength and the skills there at practice. There'd be often be times I'd think, I wonder if there's another exercise I can do for this. I wonder if there's some other progression that might help me there. And there really wasn't that much around on the web those days. Wasn't YouTube up and kicking with 1,000 videos, for one skill. So I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm just going to start a blog and put my thoughts down. I'm not like a professional gymnast. It's not like I've been doing this for my entire life. But, by the time I had started the blog, I had taught myself how to do a handstand and taught myself, I think maybe one-arm chin-up by then, handstand push-ups. So I figured, hey, might as well just put all, what I know out there and, see how people respond. So
did you say you were in college when you started the website?
It was, actually, it was just outside of college because I graduated in 2003. From Maryland a long time ago. And I started the blog 2004, 2005, something like that. And then the blog was, I don't know, maybe around for a year or so until I realized, hey, I need to actually start a website. So it was, I've been doing gymnastics, for several years, half a dozen years prior, but I didn't actually start the website, start the blog until right after I graduated. And I thought to myself, back in Maryland, back at the gymnastics practice, we would always talk about working these crazy skills, working these beast skills. So I go, wow, that's a good name for a blog.
It's a great
name for
name.
A site.
It's a great name, and it worked. So were you working in the fitness industry in any capacity yet at that point?
No, actually not. Funny enough, I went to college, started off working towards a degree in computer science. I left college with a degree in sociology, so obviously a big switch.
But you were a computer guy already at that point. You were a little ahead of the curve with starting a blog. Like you said, no one was really putting out information like that yet. You were pretty much the first guy that I knew of, and I don't know if you've since found out about anyone else who's predated you.
Again, I saw a couple blogs here and there. I'm trying to think.
Nothing as thorough as what you had on your site, though.
Oh, I appreciate that. Just off the top of my head, I was thinking there was one guy who used to have a capoeira page that was very similar, or not similar, but it gave me ideas. It was like, oh, cool, I got to learn how to do like a one-arm back handspring on his site. So it's like Chimpy's capoeira page. I might be getting that wrong.
Everyone is inspired by someone, right?
Oh, absolutely. And so I saw that, and same thing. I thought, okay, well, he's helping me out. And hopefully I can help someone else out with my.
I think you have. I think you inspired a lot of people.
I appreciate that.
Do you feel responsible in some part for helping popularize the modern calisthenics movement?
Hopefully I think that it's been really popular, for decades. Just the medium, of course, wasn't quite there yet. So, people have been doing this stuff on Muscle Beach and back in the Middle Ages or whatever for hundreds of years. Maybe this new sort of modern wave online. Yeah, I do have a lot of people, just like you were saying, Al, that come up to me and say, "Oh man, Jim, your site was again the first one I saw. I didn't know anything else beside before that." I don't want to take credit for it, but
No,
I think I probably definitely was on sort of the front wave of that. Like you said, I had some computer experience, so putting together a blog, putting together a website, all the early iterations weren't too hard to do. So
Yeah, you had really good timing. You probably didn't realize at the time. Did you have much of an expectation for the site in the beginning when you started out?
oh no, like I said, it's just like anything. You do it because you love it. You do it because, again, you can realize they can help people with it. And then, of course, more people passed it around. It started, getting a lot of traffic.
Yeah, what point did you feel like, wait a minute, I might be onto something here?
I think when I had people, one of my friends who owns a gym down in Alexandria, Virginia, when he reached out to me, I think this was maybe 2009, if my memory serves correct, and he's like, "Hey Jim, this stuff is great. Do you want to come in and teach a seminar?" I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And so I taught a seminar there, and then I got more requests from other gym owners, and started just traveling around.
At that point, had you already started working as a trainer or working as a fitness coach in some capacity yet, or was that pretty much the beginning of that?
Yes, no, actually, I had started before. So college was 99 to 2003. I graduated with sociology degree and started the blog. And I started, actually, no, scratch that. Before that, I was actually working in commercial real estate. So commercial real estate appraiser. So again, I've been all over the place, I think. And after I left commercial real estate appraising, it just wasn't for me. It was a great job, great people, just wasn't my job. I left, and during the summer when I was doing moving jobs, doing junk removal, all this stuff that was very physical, I would come home at night and, in the basement, have my chin-up bar, be working all these various skills. And then, again, that's when it kind of came up. I said, hey, you know what? I really love this in college. I'm really loving this now. I think I really want to, jump into the fitness industry. So 2005, that summer was, again, sort of the start of the blog, eventually this site, and just, again, my thought of I should really make this a full-time profession. I love fitness. I've always loved fitness. No matter, what's been sort of tumultuous in my life, that's always been the standard. That's always been the constant for me.
So it all sort of coalesced for you around that time.
Yeah.
Have you been doing anything other than fitness since? Have you had any other side jobs?
No, that's just been it. It's once I realized, okay, I want to do this, I spent that summer, getting my personal trainer certification, eventually ended up stepping into a gym that fall and winter. The gym I was at essentially around that time, I was with up until 3 years ago. So Balance Gym in Washington, D.C., they're a phenomenal gym. And I got to watch them grow from a small little single location facility to multiple locations around D.C. So, I love that community. I still love the community. I still work out there today. And so it's just been fitness from there. And now I've gone from fitness in person to fitness online. So the past 3 years, I've been working for nerdfitness.com. So, like I said, once I kind of took a step into the fitness realm, it was, no looking back. So
I want to get back to your involvement with Nerd Fitness in a little bit, but I want to
No
go
problem.
chronologically somewhat. And
Okay.
a lot of my audience might know you from the classic calisthenics book, Convict Conditioning, which is 10 years old this year. It came out in 2009. Isn't that
Crazy.
wild?
That is wild.
How did you come to get involved with that project?
So with that, I had definitely been reading things on Dragon Door before. I'm not sure if I
Dragon
had.
Door is the publisher of
Yes,
Convict
the publisher,
Conditioning, just
yes.
in case anyone's not familiar with them.
Absolutely. So Dragon Door, the publisher, I had been definitely reading articles about, that they had on their site. I can't remember if I had submitted an article or anything like that, but
I think they were also kind of like you, ahead of the curve with being one of the first companies that was posting some content online about some of this stuff.
oh, absolutely. John DeCane has always been, I think, on the front edge of a lot of things. Kettlebells, especially. A lot of people didn't know what kettlebells were before they saw Pavel's material. So
I think they're pretty much regarded as being responsible. They're happy to take the credit for that.
oh, they rightfully deserve it.
Yeah.
So back in college, I was hearing about it and then seeing that information, and then so I had my kind of eyes on Dragon Door and was reading a lot of the information. Even way back in the day, there were articles about doing a one-arm chin-up and different things like that. Coach Summers, gymnastics articles. So anyway, I had known about Dragon Door, and Paul Wade, he had reached out to me because he had stumbled across the Beast Skills and was like, "This is fantastic. I love your site, love your material. I'm looking to put together a book for Dragon Door, and I would love for you to be the be the model for it. Like you're a little bit younger than I am right now, and I'd love for you to be a part of this project." So,
were you immediately on board? Was there any hesitation on your end?
I think I asked a couple questions and, just kind of hammered out some specifics on this one. But no, I mean, all things told, I was, pretty much immediately on board. I wanted to help something like this any way I could. I wanted to, I wanted to see, of course, what he had available. I wanted to, just get more information onto the calisthenics world because, as like even 10 years ago, especially, there wasn't as much stuff out there.
No,
there
and that
really
book still sells.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I was like, sounds good, and we talked about, what the book was going to look like and, what I would have to do, taking various pictures and things like that. So,
tell me more about the process of taking the photos and how that all came together.
Oh, that was a one-man army. So that was, at the time I was still working at Balance Gym. I lived literally right across the street from the gym, which is the best commute. Actually,
it doesn't get any easier than that.
The only way it gets easier is nowadays working online. I just have to walk out of my bed. Right. So I somehow shortened my commute from across the street to my kitchen. But anyway, again, Balance Gym was great. It was one location at that time, and I lived right across the street. Had talked to Paul and John about the whole project, and so after the gym closed, I had a key. I would go across at 10 o'clock or whatever at night, and from 10 to midnight, 10 to 1, or whatever it might be, several hours. I would set up a camera, take pictures, and just on a self timer. And the camera I was using, it was just like a regular camera. It wasn't even like I couldn't even see what I was looking at. I would set it up, frame it up, set the timer, run back, do the exercise, hold the exercise, whatever.
Right. This was before everyone had an iPhone, right? And you couldn't see the screen while you were taking the picture.
Exactly. It was just framing up with my old Canon Power Shot. So yeah, like I said, I would set it up. I mean, obviously you can see the pictures that some of them are, of course, with a chin-up bar. Some of them are in a back room that's got a little bit more of a blank.
Those have gone on to become iconic shots, and probably similarly to when you started B-Skills, you didn't really have any idea that it was going to be something that so many people would see.
When I was doing the project, yeah, of course I was hoping, I wasn't necessarily thinking it's going to reach, this many people or hoping for some sort of aspiration, but I just thought to myself, hey, you know what, just like my site, it's probably going to be helping some people,
right,
in some regard. So again, I was happy to be a part of it. And yeah, like I said, it was, maybe it was a week's worth of nighttime shots, just getting everything set up. During that time, of course, I'm talking back and forth with John and Paul Wade and figuring out.
When you say talking, you mean email, right? You never actually had a conversation with the coach.
No, actually. No. I think we'll jump into that, that in a sec. But
what do you think about the conspiracy theories surrounding Paul Wade? For anyone listening who doesn't know what we're referring to, this author is anonymous. There's no pictures of him, and no one's even really spoken to him. I've had a lot of communications with him myself via email, but like you, Gemma, never actually met face-to-face or had a phone call or anything like that.
It was something I didn't think about at the time, quite honestly.
Yeah.
In terms of just, I've emailed tons of people. Jack Arno was someone I emailed multiple times before I ever met in person, talked to in person. I know you've met Jack.
Yeah, Jack's a mutual friend of ours, and I think he had an article on the Dragon Door site about a one-arm chin-up way back in the day.
Absolutely, and I reached out for him. I interviewed him a number of years ago. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, just emailing people back and forth and talking online. Nowadays, you've got the ability to Skype and call and this and that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, back then it didn't
there was
really
nothing,
strike me as
nothing too weird about it. In retrospect, what do you think of the conspiracy theories?
I think some things are a little bit ridiculous. I think just kind of going down my head for what I've heard. One, I am not Paul Wade. So
all right,
that's
we're getting that officially on record right now. It is not Jim Bathurst.
No, it is not me, unless I've got some sort of weird Fight Club scenario where I was messaging myself.
Right.
I'm
glad you've considered the Fight Club possibility.
You know what? Who knows? I also say that because a lot of people will ask me about various progressions in the book.
Right.
And while, again, there's a lot of great stuff there, maybe they might not necessarily be exactly what I would do.
Right.
But again, still great information. I'm not throwing it under the bus. Paul is not.
Do people assume that you wrote the book just because you're in the photos?
Yeah, or like I said, that Paul Wade's a pseudonym of mine or something like that, but it's not. And or like I said, that I
or that you endorse the progressions, even if you didn't write the book.
I mean,
but you just were trying to give the guy what he asked you for, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to say like, I don't want to say like, oh, these progressions are terrible, whatever. It's just that
there's some of them I agree are a little bit strange and problematic, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but when Coach Wade and I later on would put together the curriculum for the PCC, we spoke a lot about those progressions, and the progressions we teach at the PCC are a little different than what's in the Convict conditioning book, and I think they're an improvement on them, because there's just a couple of choices in there that I don't think Coach really worked with a general population very much. He had a very limited group of people that he was trying this stuff out on, and I think with my experience working more in a mainstream setting, some of this stuff was just, we got to alter it a little bit. But I digress.
Oh, no, it's a problem. It's good to talk about, and same sort of thing that I found out myself.
And Coach is
not,
an uptight, closed-minded person. He's like you and I. He wants to learn and evolve. And when we spoke about it, he's come to agree that some of the stuff in that book, and that's the thing with when you put a book in print, is then it's just like that forever. And if you later go back and say, you know what? Maybe that shoulder stand squat doesn't make a lot of sense if someone can't do a squat yet. But it's too late. The book's out there, and you know what? People are doing those damn shoulder stand squats, and God bless them.
It's one of those things. It's what is it? A sort of a half executed plan done today is better than the perfect plan tomorrow. So
that's a great saying. Yeah, and that's true of a workout, right? A so-so workout is better than no workout at all.
100%. So, I mean, we could have gone back and forth, for years about what's the perfect progression. But again, I saw some value in the book, of course, which is why I signed on for the project. But yeah, it was one of those things. At no point was I saying like, oh, hey, do this, adjust this. So again, I was literally just the model for it.
Were there moves in there that you had never done before?
Some of the bridge work at the time was a little tough. And again, some of the handstand push-up stuff, I had told him, I said, okay, well, this back to wall stuff, I just can't do it. And he goes, take a picture of the start, take a picture at the end. And it's something, again, for people to aspire to.
Right.
The one-arm handstand push-up was another thing. Again, like I said, I was a model for it. It's the Hollywood magic.
I've been guilty of the same sort of thing in my career at times.
Yeah. But like the back to wall sort of stuff, I mean, I've done chest to wall, one-arm handstand push-ups now. But the back to wall, and especially how he wanted it set, like with my body rigid and this and that.
This is another thing about that book that people like to talk about online. Yeah, is that move really even possible, or is it purely hypothetical? And to this day, as far as I know, no one's really posted a video of exactly the way Coach describes it. There's a couple people who've come real close, but they kind of turn it into like a bent press more than a handstand push-up sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that, if you looked at just the pictures where, again, it looks like I'm like a soldier at attention.
Yes.
Exactly. The same thing. I have not seen anything like that. I think that even with like a chest to wall, one-arm handstand push-up, even just having like your foot in a corner can help. I found that to be the case, or feet wide or anything like that. So again, we can kind of split hairs all day, but But in terms of the one-arm handstand push-up, I did ask him about that because he also, of course, I think this steps into another one of the conspiracy bullet points, is he talks about being able to do, again, I can't remember the number, half a dozen of these things in a row.
A lot of reps of a very hard exercise.
So again, I asked him about that. And before I dive fully into this, I read somewhere in the future, so it's somewhere on some forum somewhere, that he felt bad for kind of all the flack that I took for that point in particular. I tied myself to the project. There was these certain claims, and then people are like, "What? This is not quite real, or this is kind of a little bit different than what you said." So Paul is, I've again read stuff online where he's like, "I'm sorry to Jim
he's
for
a stand-up guy."
Yeah, absolutely. But swinging back to that, because that was something I believe I had asked back then, is he talked about the one-arm handstand push-up that he was doing as essentially it sounded like a one-arm elbow lever to a one-arm handstand.
Right, which we have seen people on YouTube doing that sort of thing. Yeah. Acrobats.
Phenomenal. I mean, it's still
fucking
very
cool as hell.
Skill.
Yeah, I'll never do that.
Yeah. It's still a very high-level skill. He said that is what he was able to do. And again, like I said, I don't, he says the same thing, I was in a in a prison, no cameras, etc.
Right.
But
How convenient.
Yeah. Again, all things told, like if I always think to myself, okay, yes, it might not look exactly like it does in the book.
Right.
Can Paul actually do this, or has he done this in the past? I don't know. But if you're hung up,
Probably not.
if you're hung up on that one point, if you're hung up on that one point, you kind of miss the forest for the trees, and there's a lot of other information, a lot of great information throughout the book that you miss.
People ask me about that book a lot too, because as I'm sure you know, I was involved with some of the subsequent sequels. And I always say that the best parts of that book aren't really the progressions themselves. It's the overall philosophy and the underlying principles. And Coach's writing is so motivational and inspiring, and just he's a joy to read. So
Absolutely.
That's the real value in the book, even though some of the progressions, like we discussed, may have left a little bit of room for improvement.
Yeah.
You said something a minute ago that I want to come back to, which is that you caught some heat because some people thought that the progressions were maybe not realistic, or that you were misleading with the photos in some way. Did that make you want to kind of distance yourself from the Convict Conditioning brand after the fact?
A little bit, and it was something I wanted to make sure that I struck out on my own, that I wasn't just completely, again, I thought the project was great. It was a lot of fun to do. There's no regrets in doing it whatsoever. But when they had asked me again about subsequent projects, I said, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to respectfully step away from this. And again, there was, complete understanding on both sides. And again, that was the time as well, too, when my own seminar circuits and other information was really picking up. So again, I wanted to make sure, like I said, there's no further brand confusion.
Well,
so
Jim, I want to take a minute right now, because I've never got the chance to do this, and thank you for that, because it gave me a huge opportunity that I've run with.
No problem.
And I think about that a lot. I think about, wow, if Jim hadn't said no to this, what the hell would I have been doing for the last 10 years?
You know what? Again, glad to pass the baton, Al. Again, all the stuff that you put out is phenomenal, and you and your brother, and it's been really, really cool to see you and traveling literally all over the world.
We've been around, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like I said, there's no regrets, no ill feelings between like me and Dragon Door or me and Paul or anything like that. It's just there's sometimes when this is good right now, and maybe doesn't quite fit me at the time. So.
Well, that makes me really glad to hear. And I've always, like I said, been impressed with your work, and impressed with the first Convict Conditioning. Before I even got involved with Convict Conditioning, I was familiar with the book, and I was a fan of it. And when I got the opportunity to get involved with the second one, I was really excited to get involved because of the history and the lineage that you had previously put out there. So it's just a cool thing to be a part of, and it's a cool thing that we'll always share.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you guys did a phenomenal job, and I'm so excited that they were able to find you, you and your brother, for all that.
And we have tattoos, so we look more like convicts.
Exactly.
I think Coach liked that. He's like, this guy can do a human flag, and he actually looks like he might have done some time, but I didn't. For anyone listening,
yeah, the
law-abiding citizen over here.
Obviously, as people see in the first book, I have no tattoos then. I have no tattoos now. Again, it's just it's what it is.
You look pretty badass in that book, nonetheless.
I appreciate that. And this is actually another thing, maybe swinging back to the conspiracy of whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Is that I remember Paul, he had sent me some mock-ups of what he thought like it would look like. This will be the pictures and progressions.
But before you did the photos, for reference.
Before I did the photos. Before I did the photos. For reference, for costume ideas as well, too. And I believe
drawings, right, that he sent you, like sketches or photos of someone else?
Photos. And again, I didn't ask them, but I'm assuming those are photos of him.
So you have seen photos of Coach Paul Wade?
Again, that is the only way I could possibly imagine. White guy, bald, and he was wearing a full jumpsuit. And is this blowing your mind right now?
Yes, this is huge. People have been looking for a photo of Coach Paul Wade for 10 years.
So full jumpsuit, full like prison jumpsuit, and then like a bandana tied around his head.
Get the fuck out of here! You got to send me these.
I got to dig them out. Okay,
you
so
gotta
again,
find this.
I swear on everything that I have seen those photos. Finding them might be another matter.
First, everybody, there are photos of Coach Paul Wade out there, and Jim Bathurst has them.
So I will dig in and pull them up if they're anywhere. But again, 100% promise. I got these photos. Again, there was never a discussion, is this Paul or not? But I just, again, assumed like, okay, this is him, taking these photos and mocking this up. And so I looked at it and I saw the jumpsuit and I saw the bandana around the head and I go, this is weird. Like I understand it's the prison book, but for me, I was like, I don't really feel comfortable with that, like tying a bandana around my head. I thought I would look really hokey, like me personally.
So you got a beanie instead.
Exactly, yeah. So like for him in the photos, again, assuming it's him, shaved head, the bandana just made sense. The jumpsuit just seemed to make sense. He looked like a stockier, like a muscular guy. Yeah. Whereas for me, I was like, hey, how does this work? What you see in the book, the jeans, the tank top, the beanie. Does this work? And he's like, that works great. So that was something yeah. So that was something that was that was really only the sort of back and forth with a lot of the stuff. There was again, the talk about the one-arm handstand push-up. But
did you know that would be the book cover, or was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, total surprise. I had no idea.
Same thing with Convict too. A lot of people don't know that picture of me and Danny doing that 2-person flag. Coach didn't even ask us for that shot. I just sent him because I was like, here's another cool picture I have. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, that's the cover?
Cool. It's great. It's an eye grabber. Yeah. Yeah. It's an eye grabber. So, but yeah, no, I mean, in terms of my interaction, again, like I said, nothing seemed, peculiar at the time, but when he had sent me those mock-ups of, hey, here's what I think you could wear. And I was just like, no, this just doesn't fit me. He was totally fine. He said, oh, sure, great. Let me know what you feel you'd like to wear instead. And yeah, he was totally fine with what you can see in the book right now, just the beanie, the tank top, and all this stuff. And I tried to look as I'm a lighthearted guy. I tried to look as serious as I could, as tough as I could. I don't know, whatever it might be. It looks cheesy,
but on your mean mug.
That's exactly it. Yeah, put on my war face.
My understanding is that book is Dragon Door's best-selling title ever, and it's been translated into 20 some odd languages. Does that blow your mind to think about that? Maybe by this point, a million copies worldwide.
You know what? The fact that it's translated so much, it is really cool. Because I get tagged in Instagram or Facebook or whatever every so often.
Don't you wish you did write it? That's how I feel when people tell me that. I'm like, God, I wouldn't have to train people at 7 a.m. anymore if I wrote that book.
I mean, I feel like anything, like, I was happy to do the project. Whether you write the bestseller or not, you still have to market it. You still have to write another book. You still have to do that. What it did is not that I think like, oh man, I wish I had written it and then I would be living on Easy Street. The book opened up.
Coach Wade, I wouldn't trade lives with him. He has not had the best life, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, hopefully, this has obviously helped him a bit. But
for sure, he's had a nice swan song at the end of it.
I totally agree. But the book, though, again, regardless of whether the fact that I didn't write it, again, no regrets on that whatsoever, because it opened up so many doors for me. People saw the book, they said this is great, and then of course in the back, hey, all this was modeled by Jim, and here's his site, etc. So again, there was a big period of time. I mean, even if I had never done any sort of beast skill seminars, even if I hadn't traveled, my career was still totally fine. I was still training tons of people. I was voted best personal trainer in Washington, D.C. Like, all that is completely...
I want to talk more about your accolades, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Because you were also the winner of the Men's Health Fittest Man in America contest, I believe 2 years in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that have a big impact on your career?
That one maybe less so. I think that was a matter of Men's Health had set up an online voting, and when I posted it up on Beast Skills, which was getting tons of traffic.
The popularity contest is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, probably.
And you were popular.
Yeah, exactly. I was obviously very popular.
And you could do some pretty cool stuff. I mean, that's the whole point of the Beast Skills site. For people who don't know about it, you're doing one-arm chin-ups, and that was the first place I saw the human flag in an actual tutorial like that. And I was looking for information about human flag because I had heard legends of it. And I was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, a lot of people know me for that move now, but I first saw you do it.
The flag is a fantastic skill, one, and it was something that actually, before I even started the site, this was something I did back in college. So the one thing that I've still done to this day, and one of my favorite acts back in college on my gymnastics troupe was the chairs. Was stacking up the chairs, doing handstands on the chairs, doing handstands with several people in various configurations. If anyone's interested in what I'm even talking about, if you just Google on YouTube or search on YouTube, if you search on YouTube, University of Maryland Gymkhana, and then chairs or home show or chairs act, anything like that will pop up. Plenty of videos of all this stuff. And again, it's the stuff you'd see in Cirque du Soleil where you're stacking up chairs doing handstands. Anyway, we had one, I've got it in the tutorial, but we had one pose where it was a box of chairs. One guy is on top doing an elbow lever to keep the box steady. And then me and one of my buddies, John, he was later one of my groomsmen, were both doing flags off either side of this box of chairs. So
that's a pretty unstable thing to be doing a flag on, right?
It was fine if someone was on top.
As long as there's that pressure holding it in place.
As long as there's a pressure on top.
That seems a little precarious. Did that ever go wrong in training while you were working on putting it together?
The chairs that we use, and I've got 3 or 4 of them in my back room right now. The chairs are very square. They don't stick together in any way. They don't lock together, Velcro, nothing like that. But they are incredibly uncomfortable. Like they are right angle square.
They're not made for sitting on. They're made for handstands.
They're made for handstands. You got it. So when we put them together as a box, like you can see from the picture, they will line up, and they line up and they're fine on that one. So it was just a matter of various creativity. But knock on wood, there was nothing in terms of the Chairs Act. It looks death-defying and terrifying, but
it's really very safe is what you're saying?
I mean, safe is a relative word, I suppose, but one of my first days of practice, so I came into the gymnastics troupe. I already knew how to do a handstand. I could do the handstand on the chairs, and then I turned to one of the senior people in the act, and I said, well, what do you do if you fall? There's this Chairs Act. What do you do if you fall? And he just turns to me and goes, you don't fall. Yeah. And that was the end of conversation. It was just not an option. I was like, okay.
Well, I always feel like with something like that, if you have any doubt in your mind, you don't do it. You have to be really, really confident. I've done some handstands in some precarious looking spots as well.
Yeah.
But I just only will do it if I'm feeling really strong on my handstand that day.
Yeah.
And you think of it, okay, I'm just on the floor. It's like any other handstand.
Yeah.
And you, if anything, I think it forces you to focus even more intensely than you otherwise might, because the stakes are higher. But
absolutely.
I want to come back to something that you said a second ago, because
sure.
Did you say that the winning the men's health thing did not really have much of an impact on your career? Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, I don't think as much as...
Because it was the people who were already your followers who got you to win in the first place? Is that sort of what it is?
Yeah, I think so, because, again, between the buzz from Convict conditioning, because, of course, Dragon Door was pulling in, tons of people, and just the buzz that Beast Skills was generating, the men's health contests, that I got, what I won from each one of those was a Bowflex. So I won two Bowflexes.
So you didn't get people seeking you out because you had won that and wanting to train with you or wanting to bring you in for a seminar or anything like that, right?
No, people were reaching out to me for the Convict conditioning and the B skills. The men's health thing was just sort of a funny aside because, like
it's
I said,
a good thing to have on a resume. But I'm actually not surprised to hear you say that, but only because I've had similar things happen in my career where you have something where you think like, oh, I'm on the cover of this magazine. This is going to be the big thing that...
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, phone's not ringing off the hook. Nothing's really any different the next day. It's just business as usual.
Exactly.
And I think it's important for people to know that, because people sometimes assume, and I'm sure you get this too, that, oh, you're Jim Bathurst. You're like a big deal, and you're always, in demand, but... you're just a guy, and life is life. And I mean, I don't want to assume anything about you if I'm wrong. Maybe you are big pimping in a way that I hadn't given you credit for. But I mean, right? It looks like you got like a regular apartment back there behind you. I can see Jim for people listening. We're just getting sound.
Yeah.
But it's not a mansion, right?
No, not yet. No, I'm living down in DC, downtown DC. But no, I mean, I think kind of swinging back to the point that. I mean, you'll work on a project, then you work on another project, and you work on another project, and if you love what you're doing, it's never like you do something and then just sit and wait for it to take off. It's like, no, I did that, and then okay, I'm moving on to something else, and I'm moving on to something else.
It's months between when you send those photos in to Coach Wade and when you actually get a book in your hands, right?
Yeah, and then another month, a year until it really starts picking up speed and momentum. Yeah. So again, you said 2009 was released.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, again, the seminar
took about 2 years,
really picking up. Yeah, about a year, 2 years or so, 2011ish or so, before I was like oh man, I'm booked and I got to spread out my seminars and I'm doing them once a month and I'm traveling. I'm driving to Ohio, going down to Florida, going, down to the Carolinas. So yeah, it was something though that, yeah, I just wasn't sitting on my thumbs the whole time. I was training, working. 2009 was the book. 2010 was the best trainer in DC award. 2011 and 12 was the men's health fittest reader or whatever. So again, there was always something I was trying to push forward.
Right.
And yeah, 2013 started CrossFit directing for the same gym. We won, my location won Best CrossFit Gym of the DC. So, I always wanted to push something, and it was never a matter of I'm going to sit back on my accolades. It's, hey, what else do we have in the future? So it's always been fun to push things forward.
Well, I think any goal is really just a means to get you to keep working hard. And once you achieve it, you just need to set another goal right away.
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel like sometimes the fitness industry puts too much emphasis on goals for that reason, because ultimately they're futile. It's the work. You just need to keep grinding away. But those goals, they just kind of, they guide you along the process to a certain extent. But they're sort of just anticlimactic when you get to them, right?
Yes, absolutely. They're good to have. As you say, they're good to have. But you should never think that you're going to hit a goal and all of a sudden everything will change and you're going to be happy.
Over.
Exactly. Oh, finally, I can squat 400 pounds. Done. Yeah. It's again, it's just something to focus you on the journey, so that you enjoy the process, which I think is important. It's always important to enjoy the process.
But people want to ignore the process. They want the goal.
They always
How do I get that handstand, Jim? How long is it going to take?
How long? That is, I was about to say, what questions you probably get as well, too, which is, oh, this looks cool. How long is it going to take me to get there? And I'm like, I don't know, a month?
Yeah.
Never?
I don't know, you fool.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's one of those things that, people do focus on. I mean, sure, there's averages. Oh, if it's taking you longer than this time, then maybe readjust your approach. But all told, are you enjoying the process rather than are you already pushing your head in your mind 10 years down the line about, oh, I'm going to try this and do this. No, just focus on what you got to do today.
Yes.
What do you have to do today to take a step forward? So
yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nerd Fitness earlier. When did you become involved with them?
So it's might either be on my YouTube or Steve's. Steve
is the creator.
Creator and owner of Nerd Fitness. He found me through B Skills. So again, same sort of thing. Like the book and the site just pulled in a lot of things in toward me. And Steve found me through the site, and he was actually living in Washington, D.C., where I am right now. He was living in D.C. for a short while. And yeah, he reached out to me. He goes, hey, I'm interested in, learning how to muscle up. So we actually have a video of us. It was our first and only session together. But teaching him how to do a muscle up, and he got his first muscle up right there with just some drills and coaching.
Nice.
So that was really cool. So, I talked to him then, we had been in communication. That was whatever year that was. I can't even remember off the top of my head. And then a year or two later, he goes, hey, Jim, this Camp Nerd Fitness I'm putting together, so I've got this site, and I really would love you to come out and teach. Sure, no problem. It's 150 nerds off in the woods of Georgia. That was great. We had 2 more Camp Nerd Fitnesses past then. And as he's hiring me up for all this sort of contract work for Camp Nerd Fitness and for
just sort of like one-off gigs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just contractor stuff like here's a payment. Thanks so much. And also I helped him. I rewrote the Nerd Fitness Academy, which is their sort of self-contained, self-paced program. And again, same thing. Paid for me. Paid me for it and thanked me, and we went on our way. Well, eventually he's like, Jim, I keep on hiring you up for all this contract stuff. How do you just want to work? How about if you just want to work for Nerd Fitness full time?
So do you get a salary now?
Yeah, I'm salaried. I've been.
Do you
salaried
get benefits?
Day one. I get benefits too.
Sweet
yeah, so
gig.
Nerd Fitness is fantastic.
Are they looking for someone else?
We're always hiring up coaches. I'll talk about that sort of evolution in a second. But when Steve reached out to me, we talked about stuff, and we came to various agreements. Not that we have to talk about full details, but it was something that I had been with my previous gym, Balance Gym, for about a decade or so at that point, and I had been doing CrossFit directorship for the past 3 years. All great, all fantastic, but I was coming to that point where I was like, you know what, I need a different challenge. I need to kind of give something else a go. And Steve comes in with that offer. Just honestly, it's a perfect time. I said, you know what, this sounds great. I'm going to pass off the directorship to, back to a balanced gym. And
so
when I stepped into
you don't
fitness,
run the gym at all in any capacity anymore. You're just, like you said, at home working entirely online.
correct, 100% online.
You don't train anybody even privately or?
No, not at all. I will have a couple times people will reach out to me and I'll do like in terms of in-person training.
Yeah.
I'll do a couple
Personal
one-offs.
training is what they used to call it back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now it's in-person and online training,
Right.
but the personal training, no. Like when I stepped away from balance,
standing in front of somebody while they do push-ups.
That's exactly it. I do have people that reach out to me every so often, and we'll do one-off sessions. Hey, I'm in town. I want to learn a handstand or muscle-up or whatever. So yeah, sure. I still definitely get those, and I'll do those. Those are no problem.
But you don't have like Susan every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 8 a.m. or anything like that anymore.
Nope. It's different.
And you have no interest in doing that at all at this point, or do you miss it a little bit?
No, not particularly. I loved it. Trust me, I loved it. But the challenges and what we're building at Nerd Fitness is just as exciting, if not more so, because it's, again, I know what it's like to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, get to a gym.
I know
train,
you do.
Train people. Yeah, and again, totally fine. Again, it was great.
That's probably why you appreciate not doing it at this point, right?
A little bit. But trust me, I'm still working just as hard online. And online, when they first pulled me on, when Steve first pulled me on, I was subject matter expert. I was writing articles for the site. I've got several articles through Nerd Fitness now, and that was great. And then I don't know, a year or so in, or maybe even less than that, a half a year in, he goes, Jim, you know what? I think that our nerds, we've got free articles and we've got this self-paced program, but I think they might really want personal coaching, like an online coaching. What do you think about that? I said, no, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Let's give it a go. And so, they put it together. They opened up the request. Does anyone want to be coached online? And we were just overwhelmed. Just like, yes. So many people wanted that. So we started building. Yeah, I mean, as they say, the rest is history. We started building the online coaching program 3 years ago. I still have clients from that first wave, which is incredible.
Do you do calls with them through video chats, or is it all email, or how does it work?
We have we send messages back and forth primarily. We have a shared calendar. We were using, when we first started off, it was like through Slack and Evernote and stuff like that. Then we used the third-party software, Trainerize. That was great. But then actually recently, over the past year and a half, the developers on Nerd Fitness, I'll give a shout out to Alec and Nick and all the crew, they have put together our own app. So we were growing so much, we thought,
an iPhone app.
iPhone and Android. Yeah, iPhone and Android.
I have one of those too, by the way, for anyone listening.
Android or iPhone?
Both. My app it's on everything. I personally use an iPhone, but my app I think you can even get it on Windows Phone now, but I might have misspoke.
No, it's no problem. So the app is it's not necessarily like here's a program. It's more a matter of connecting you to the coach. So again, you're sharing your calendar, you're sharing messages.
My
and
app's
various,
just a cartoon. There's no interactivity with it.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a fun cartoon. You should check it out.
Absolutely. No, I mean, again, nothing wrong with that. But we hit the limitations of the third-party software we were using. I say we as in the developers, but we put together our own in-house app and grown, and it's gone from literally just me coaching people to we now have about 14 coaches total, which is pretty crazy. It's been pretty insane for the growth of the past couple of years.
And you guys still do the in-person meetups a few times a year as well?
That not so much, because we've been pushing the online coaching really hard.
Nobody wants to do anything in person anymore, right?
No, we want to. It was full steam ahead on this one project, and Steve has been fantastic. He's gotten the mentorship and he's gotten the direction that he needed to like take the company to the next level. When I first joined and it was just like, I'm going to write an article every so often. That was fun. That was great.
Yeah.
But like I'd say every single half year, every single year, it's like another iteration of the company. It's another leveling up. It's another, pivot to, okay, now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do this. So, he's evolving the company like nothing else.
It seems like you have had really good intuition throughout your career with choosing the right project at the right time.
I think if you just work hard enough.
Just dumb luck?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, let's just call it dumb luck. I think that the more you just kind of, put a bunch of irons in the fire, there's going to be one that comes out hot.
Yes.
There's been things.
I found the same thing.
Yeah. There's been things, I'm sure, if I think about it hard enough that, either have just been very small and short lived, or maybe haven't really, set anything up. I was ambassador for Lululemon for a year. Again, that was great, but it wasn't like I'm a manager at Lululemon now, or in some sort of.
Yeah, it was just something you tried, something you did.
Exactly.
Did it
and again,
stick?
I loved it though. No, I loved it to death. I loved it. The people that I met, phenomenal. Still friends with today.
And you got some good yoga pants out of it, I'm sure.
I got tons of clothes out of it. Yeah. But something like that would be, like I said, that was something that was great. But it wasn't like I was trying to lead up to, CEO of Lululemon. So yeah, I mean, you work out a lot of different things. You have a lot of different things.
It's sort of like what we were saying before about training, right? You don't focus too much on the end goal. You just do the little steps along the way. And sometimes the path unfolds in a cool, unexpected manner. And other times it doesn't. And then you do something else. Yeah,
absolutely. The opportunities present itself when you've put in the hard work.
I'm really glad that you're doing so well, and that you're staying busy, and that you're doing something that moves you and that you're passionate about, and that your career has taken you to all the places it's taken you. And it's been a lot of fun talking with you today, Jim.
It's been a great time.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to let the people listening know before we sign off?
Let's see.
Should they follow you on Instagram, that sort of thing? Do you care about Instagram?
No, it's okay. I've definitely
That's the hot new shit, Jim. It's not even new anymore. I just sound really old by calling it that, right?
No, it's okay. Anyone, of course, can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/beastskills, Instagram.com/beastskills, at the website beastskills.com, all the various things. While I do not update the regular website, beastskills.com, much at all anymore, I do post every so often on Facebook on my page, and of course on Instagram on my page as well too. So you can see plenty of things. I like the realm of Instagram because I can put out really quick ideas. Whereas if
it's easier than making a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also you can find me on youtube.com/beastskills. And also, when I was writing the original articles for the webpage, I would get pretty much borderline obsessive because I would read the article, reread the article, reread my post, and
sure, that's why it was good.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that.
You can tell when people don't put time into revising things.
Yeah, and I revise those time and time again. Whereas the Instagram posts now, I can put out a quick idea and I don't have to spend hours, a couple of days on it. So a lot better in that regard. Same thing with the YouTube. I can make a quick video and post it up there. So people can follow me on that. I am in Washington, D.C. If you guys are ever interested in a one-off session, I will do them if my calendar
begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly. No, I mean, again, like I said, I love it. And you asked me earlier, do I miss it? When I train someone in person, like for that one-off session, teaching them handstands, teaching them whatever, there's part of me that's like, hey, this is really cool to have that, back and forth personal interaction. It's just, like I said, it's just nothing I can really fold regularly into my schedule right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like I said, all my work with nerdfitness.com, you guys can check it out. If you're, jump into the coaching program if you want an online coach. And we, like I said, we have not had any sort of Camp Nerd Fitness for quite some time, but we are looking, hopefully sometime in the near future, to put together some sort of in-person event. Again, there is nothing absolutely planned at all, just, really sort of idle, a quick talk. But I would love to see more stuff from us at Nerd Fitness, personal interaction and in personal events. So,
right on. Well, thanks again, Jim. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
It's been a great time too. So. All right, take care.
Hey.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or anywhere else you're listening from. And don't forget to subscribe. If you want to know more about my training, check out my website, alkavadlo.com, and make sure to pick up a copy of my latest book, Next Level Strength, the ultimate rings and paraleads program. Tune in to the podcast next week when my guest will be Steve Cotter.